in Stardew Valley. What makes someone a criminal?
She said, ew, no! I will find somebody in this town that doesn't hate me. You're dead to me. The whole town is dead to me. Where's Jojo?
Stop it. You've been here for 3 weeks. They've known you for 3 weeks.
Not marriage. I think that today I have to make a decision as to whether or not I will destroy this world or save it.
Okay. Danny and I are back, and this time, one of us has a score to settle with all the residents, while the other is just trying to keep the farm in working order. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, I recommend checking out this video here, which details a lot about the spring month. However, if you just want a quick recap, Danny learned to play the game, we made a bit of money, and then Haley rejected him outright during the flower dance, which caused him considerable pain. There you go, caught up. And with that, let us begin with day 1. I'm sure anyone that's familiar with Stardew knows that the change of a month consists of a lot of farm work, and that's what our day 1 began with. There's all the old crops that you need to delete, plenty of seeds to buy from Pierre's, which is an incredibly expensive investment as well, and in fact, almost the entire day consisted of me running around trying to get things ready for the upcoming month. However, I did manage to run into an old friend. Oh, hello there, Haley. How are you? I'm glad you've been well. I don't think he found that as funny as I did. Oh well, I'm sure he'll be over his anger at the valley soon, and besides, the first day was coming to a close and it was time to go to bed. Day 2. I wish I could say that we found $1 billion gold and could just go fishing for the rest of our lives, but alas, I cannot. We began with more farm tending, as well as a bit of oogling our new barn. At the moment, it was currently empty, but I was sure we could get our first cow soon enough. And with that, the Great Cheese Farm would have cheese at last. Let's check in with Danny and see how he's feeling. Have you calmed down with the townspeople yet?
I think that I slept it over. And I think that my wrath has
Subsided?
definitely taken down one single notch.
Sure. Oh, okay. We're down a notch. That's progress at least. And I showed him our new mushroom plot, telling him that he now had fresh mushrooms every day to take with him to the mines, and that also seemed to help. After he left for the mines, which if you don't know, it's his favorite activity, I managed to plant our starfruit seeds because so help me God, we would have starfruit wine, and that would hopefully sell for plenty of money wherever Mayor Lewis takes our goods. I ended up having a little over half the day left after this, which I promptly used to go do my favorite activity, fishing. The rest of the day sped away and we quickly found ourselves going to bed. Another night that the dog decided to join Danny, but oh well, he needed it. We began the day with an earthquake, which was incredibly concerning to say the least. However, everything must have been okay, because Mayor Lewis sent us a letter asking if we could find his shorts. So obviously the earthquake must not have been a big deal. We didn't spend much time on the farm today, electing to run around instead and get some things done in town. And shockingly, I'm guessing you can probably figure out how Danny reacted when he realized Pierre's was closed.
This town has forsaken me
Oh my
one
God.
too many times.
And we're back. However, not all was bad on day 3. I finally caught a pufferfish in the ocean, fighting for my life in the most difficult fishing minigame I ever have dealt with to date. Excited for my victory, the rest of the day was spent on fishing and turning in the pufferfish, and then eventually turning in for the night. Today was a farming day. However, I was determined to finally get a cow. So, after we finished our morning chores, I went to get our very first farm animal. Cacardo the cow joined us at the Great Cheese Farm. And now, soon, we would have our cheese. Danny and I were excited, albeit for different reasons. I wanted to have the guaranteed source of income coming in every day, and Danny just wanted to make cheese. Now, I want to do a quick aside that's important for this next part. I live in Philly, and for those of you who don't know, that's here. Now, some of you may also know about Philly sports teams, especially the Eagles. Well, on this fateful night when we were playing Stardew, the Eagles won their conference and were moving on to the Super Bowl. However, I didn't know that. So when all of a sudden I heard fireworks and firecrackers, not knowing what they were, as well as people yelling and running down my street, I got a bit nervous. However, because it was just people celebrating the Eagles win, allow me to share you this wonderful moment of my realization. The Eagles won the Super Bowl or something?
Oh, they won the end. They're going to the Super Bowl.
Oh my, did that just happen?
Yeah.
Here I thought it was like a worrisome riot. No, okay, we're good.
Yeah, just the normal Philly riot.
Yeah, this is just the normal Philadelphia. Notice how calm Danny is when I tell him all this. That should speak about all you need to know. Anyways, Danny found a new love, surprise, surprise, in Emily. It took all of about 4 days for him to get over his hatred for the valley now that he found someone new. And that was good at least, because I was concerned for how much hate he had for everyone. Hopefully this new flame would allow him to find a more positive outlet for his emotions.
Oh, if Emily and Haley live together, well, I'll stop by. Maybe Haley will get jealous if I start giving Emily grapes in front of her.
Something tells me you're not quite over Emily yet.
Oh, it's locked.
Sorry.
God damn it.
Something tells me you're not quite over Haley yet.
I can't believe you feel that way. That might be the most preposterous thing you ever said.
Noted. Okay, never mind. I don't think he's over it. Oh well, there's always tomorrow. Day 5, another day, another morning of watering plants. Our farm was growing at a good pace, and we were making excellent progress in our ability to generate money, and I finally felt like there was a good chance we would be able to more consistently upgrade tools for later use. Much of my day 5 was pretty boring. I spent almost the entirety of it cutting down trees and napping, only to go cut down more trees. However, Danny spent most of the day trying to give Emily grapes because A, it was a gift, and B, she wanted them for a quest. And it went pretty poorly.
I'm going to sit here for the next 10 minutes staring into the window of your front door.
None of the townspeople like me, Danny.
Bro, I am doing them a favor. Oh my god. Yeah, if I don't want to enter Haley's bedroom anymore. Come on, Emily, come here. I have the grapes. I have the grapes. They're in my... Oh my god.
This man couldn't catch a break, but sometimes I understand why. Day 5 was rather uninteresting. We did a lot of chores and a lot of basic tasks, so really it was wood chopping and then eventually bed. Unfortunately, yet again, Frackabell chose Danny. I was really starting to lose the war on having the dog in my house. Day 6 began with one of my favorite things in Stardew: rain. Not only do I get to skip watering plants, but I also get good odds when it comes to fishing. So I went to the beach and met a guy who wanted to sell me an old amulet, and honestly, I've never seen this man before, and I have absolutely no idea what this is. I spent the rest of the morning hanging out with Willie, learning that he really enjoys fishing, and honestly, that's my kind of guy. Danny ended up donating about a dozen different things around the same time, much to my surprise, to the museum, and I'm sure Gunther was also pretty happy about that. After that, we met up and we went beach fishing, where I finally caught a red snapper, which I was pretty happy with, before we went up to the lake and tried to hopefully get some of our last remaining community center fish, with limited results. It was here I realized how difficult playing without any forms of a wiki is, and it really kind of can mess with you when you think that you might be missing necessary fish or certain time-gated events that if you don't complete by a certain point, you might miss. But there's also a certain joy in discovering those things yourself and actually getting them fully completed without the help of a wiki. So honestly, it was a pretty good trade-off. I ended up spending the rest of my day at that lake, and luckily I had Abigail playing one of her instruments in the rain to keep me company. With the rain abating, Danny and I went back to our regular morning routine, farming. He was excited because our cow was growing older, and he really liked taking care of all the farm animals. Honestly, to a point that I didn't ever have to worry about them, because Danny instantly called that responsibility as soon as I brought it up. I'm very interested to see down the line how he feels about that when we have more than a dozen farm animals and buildings. However, all of our work was finally starting to pay off, and Danny and I decided to finally spend some of the money we had built up on some brand new fiberglass fishing rods. Danny still had to talk to Willie and go through his whole beginning of his quest line, I assume it was, as he hadn't done that yet, but eventually we had finally spent our hard-earned cash. Of course, after getting those, I had to spend some time fishing, and Danny did too. I was rather surprised he actually didn't keep going to the mines, but I think he was starting to hit his limit with his current tool set, and eventually he was going to need an even more upgraded pick, and I was also going to need to upgrade some of my tools. Ah well, a problem for another day. Another highlight of the night, though, is that I managed to hit exactly 0 energy, something I didn't know was possible, well, outside real life, and we also found out that Danny had come across 6 diamonds chilling in one of our chests. We decided to sell one of them to see how much they were worth, and upon seeing that each one of them were $750, it took every bit of our strength not to immediately sell the rest. And luckily for us, that would pay off in the future. Day 8. Rain was on the forecast again, and I grabbed just about every mineral we owned and eventually took them to Gunther. Wanted to see if we had missed any possible donations to the museum. But first, we needed to make some beehives. Well, my brain decided we did. Apparently, I had already unlocked them, and I really wanted to get some honey. So I gathered up wood while Danny told me about his new love plan, and it sure was something.
Well, anyway, yeah, so I was thinking about it, and I know what I have to do. Haley has a roommate. What I need to do is I need to begin a relationship with Emily instead, so that I can spend the rest of the game showing Haley everything that she could have had and trying to ruin her life.
What about Emily's feelings?
Next question.
I went to Gunther's and we had some pretty fantastic rewards waiting for us, including our own jungle skog. The rest of our day consisted of my simple pastime, fishing for new community center fish. What can I say? I love fishing. Following this, Danny tried acting on his new romance plan by giving Emily gifts. He was finally learning how this all worked, and I could see his reintegration into society.
I'm gonna give her Joja Cola. No, I don't want to drink it. I want to give it. This gift has strong negative energy. I can't stand it. Oh dear.
Oh, well, at least he tried. And just to add insult to injury, Frackabell joined me tonight.
Oh wait, that cow looks not the same.
Oh, he looks big. Oh, you want to milk him?
Oh my God! Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm.
What's the
Everybody
procedure,
stay calm.
everyone? What's the procedure?
Stay calm!
Wait.
Everybody calm down!
I do want to milk the cow.
We had done it. The Great Cheese Farm had produced milk, a critical component of cheese. However, I still hadn't unlocked the cheese press, but it was only a matter of time. I spent most of the day talking to villagers for the first time in hopes of actually increasing my relationship with most of them. Even if Danny had forsaken the valley, I know I certainly hadn't yet, and afterwards, I managed to get to the beach and pick up all the cool-looking shells. I also, while I was there, picked up the lobster cages because I was hoping to eventually move them to the pond outside our house because I had completely forgotten I had placed them there. Until then, though, it was time to fish, which I did until it was time to retire home for bed. With day 10, it was almost time for another festival. We'd been hitting a groove of taking care of the farm and breaking to go fishing or mining, as Danny was determined to hit the bottom. A break would be nice, and even Danny was interested in the idea of a community potluck. Danny wanted to meet the governor in order to discuss his many issues with the town, and therefore, he was willing to try another festival. However, we still had to get our chores done today before we could attend tomorrow. We harvested many new forage crops, got a brand new cow, meet Jutabo, and Danny got a watering can upgrade. I even managed to forget it was Wednesday today and headed to Pierre's. The rest of the day consisted of cleaning up the farm and collecting wood to regenerate our stocks after fixing the bridge at the beach. Hopefully, we would soon be able to build even more buildings, such as our fish pond or silo. But for now, it was time for bed, and for me, another loss in the Frackabell duel. I would say that day 11 went off super well, but it didn't. We made it the whole way through the day and headed to the beach, only to realize that I had fucked up the times and we had missed the luau. I didn't want to miss an event, and therefore we decided that it was time to reset and begin the day again from the beginning. So much for dealing with the consequences of your actions I had mentioned before. We watered our plants, made a cheese press, and fired a bunch of ore today. And when the clock hit 9, it let us know the luau had begun. Now it tells us the luau has begun at the beach.
Yeah, that straight up did not happen last time.
I refuse to believe that occurred.
You literally recorded it, so like you can check.
Oh, I'm gonna be making fun of myself. I already know I'm gonna be making fun of myself here in a few minutes.
Oh my god.
Huh. Maybe we were just idiots, because I went back through the footage and it absolutely told us that the luau had begun, but we apparently had missed it. Oh well. We managed to sneak a bundle completion in before we headed down to the beach, where we talked with all the townspeople about the festivities. For those of you that don't know, during the luau, we are supposed to bring high-quality ingredients to add to the communal soup. Naturally, Danny brought high-quality mushrooms, and I brought grapes, which totally go well together. Now, if you also thought that Danny couldn't possibly get snubbed at the luau, well, you'd be mistaken. This poor guy, some might say, was in a prison of his own making.
He's unresponsive. Oh my god. I hate this. I hate all of them so much.
Honestly, I really do feel bad for the dude, but at least the soup ended up being really good. Somehow. And eventually, we went back home, where we finally made our first thing of cheese. Our very first piece was going to be given to the little ball creatures at the community center tomorrow, but for now, it was time for bed. With day 12 beginning, Danny was able to take the cheese to the community center and get his watering can. The entire morning was spent harvesting crops, but afterwards, I went and got hops and corn. It was finally time to become a real American farmer. Next, we managed to start adding sprinklers to our farm, a trend that will continue throughout the month, because both of us wanted to try more activities that didn't involve watering crops. Danny and I had finally entered a new era at the farm: automation. Besides that, not much happened the rest of the day. I didn't even get to fish more than a single cast, but I did manage to get Frackabell to join me in the best way possible. I cut a tree down into your house.
That's tough. Frackabell wouldn't like that.
Frackabell is absolutely with me right now.
Actually?
I hope. It's getting embarrassing if it's not. Frackabell's with me, bitch.
Fuck. Yeah, you don't get the call now.
Ah, what a night. Of course, the first day we set up sprinklers, it rains, but hey, at least we saved some time on all the other watering. We even managed to get 5 Gold Star watermelons on our first harvest, which was, to be honest, pretty cool. At this point, there was a lot of debate about how to proceed. Danny believed that our chest full of food was too much, and that we should sell a majority of it to make more money. I disagreed, arguing that we could increase the amount of preserves jars we had and turn more of the crops into pickle jams and goods, but no real conclusion was reached. Really, the highlight of the day was we planted another 30 melons, but saw that we could grow a pomegranate tree to produce in the fall, something that we needed for the community center. So our next large purchase was planned, but for now, Danny planned on going to the mines tomorrow, and I just fished. The world was healing. But anyways, that was really it for day 13, and the first half of summer was coming to a rapid end. Day 14 came, and let me say, the sprinklers were already worth their weight in literal gold. Most of the morning for me was taking care of hay and crops, and Danny finally got his new pickaxe, making one of our first steel tools. Our logic was that if Danny could just spend time in the mines, we could get more sprinklers. We even got an extra one from a bundle we completed. In the Danny news today, he finally decided that he was going to become a real romantic.
Emily, God, she stays in her room until like noon every single day. I'm going to fish right outside her house so that I can see her leave.
Alas. Oh well, almost the entirety of today was getting the farm ready for automation in the future, so I won't go over too many more of the details, but I will say we called it an early night around 11. The beginning of a season is always a busy time in Stardew, at least in all the playthroughs I've done, as you attempt to prepare everything for the upcoming season. The end of the month can be equally as busy as you attempt to wrap up all of your tasks and prepare for the next set of 28 days. However, oftentimes it feels like the middle of the month is fairly uneventful, and that's kind of the case for us. On day 15, we got our first large milk, a sign that the cows were happy, collected corals, and Danny mined while I fished.
Could I buy a second pickaxe? So that on pickaxe repair day.
Before we eventually met up to fish together. The big event of the day was that a train passed through the valley, and while we heard the whistle, we had no idea where it was, and so we continued fishing. There are a couple days like this, and there's a couple more that will come up like this, so if you don't mind, let me know down below if you would like me to kind of skip over these days more in the future and focus on the more eventful ones, or keep describing each day and kind of what happens during each one. For now, Bracabelle joined Danny, and tomorrow is not one of those days. On the recommendations of one of the comments in the previous video, we were constantly trying to put newspapers in the recycling machine in order to get some cool item. It seemed that today that had finally paid off, as we got cloth, which I promptly grabbed. Danny and I then split for the day. I was cutting down trees, and Danny was off to the mines with my pickaxe. However, on a trip into town, I gazed at the bulletin board and saw that Haley was asking for a diamond, and she was willing to pay 2,250 gold for it. If you don't know this, in Stardew Co-op, all members of the farm can accept and turn in the quest posted on the bulletin board, allowing for multiple completions. I immediately accepted and even managed to convince Danny that the money was worth him giving Haley a gift. However, the poor guy seemed to be battling some lingering demons regardless.
The fact that I know
Danny,
that I'm robbing the shit out of her.
It's a transaction. The diamonds are worth $750. You're
the fact that I'm scamming her, does that make it better?
$300. She'll even like you more.
I don't want her to. Oh, actually, well, then I can break her heart more. So, maybe there's something to this.
He honestly started to feel for the poor guy after a while, but whatever. I also managed to get a few more things done, including harvesting starfruit that had finally grown, turning in the cloth to the artisan bundle, and fishing in an attempt to catch a sturgeon. The last interesting bit is that I got the dog. Onwards to day 17. Tailor all kinds of clothes, and all you need is access to a sewing machine. Hey, it is. And I happen to have one at home. Feel free to swing by and use it anytime. You can now access Emily's sewing machine.
Why am I here? Just to suffer?
Oh my fucking god.
Where's Joja? Somebody take me to Joja right now. There's nothing left for me in this town.
Oh man, that's a tough break. Damn, that sucks. We were on the road to recovery too. We needed to get Danny a piece of cloth and get him noticed. I'm sure he'd be happier then. But errands still needed to get completed, and I needed my steel axe. I wanted to get into the woods to the south of the farm and break the large wood tree blocking it. However, it'd be a few days before I had it, and with my wood collecting tool taken away, it was time for me to do what must be done. Fish! Danny made it to floor 96 in the mine, moving quickly through them, and I was hoping he was gonna find iridium soon, as we needed it for one of our bundles, but oh well, I was sure he would find it soon, and we can deal with that problem when we need to. We get so much harvesting done nowadays that with all the self-watering crops combined with multiple crab pots in the small pond near our house, we actually were transforming from working solely on watering our plants in the morning to just harvesting all the things that finished every night. However, that means that we also get to buy more things for our farm, which is so much more exciting. On top of this, Danny managed to collect another ream of cloth from the recycling machine. We're back on the path, guys. It's gonna be okay. All of that takes us a little past noon, where Danny then decided to go to Gunther's before mining, where he finally had enough of Gunther not giving him a reward.
Gunther, baby. I continue to give to you, and all you ever tell me is, that's not enough to get a reward. This is an abusive relationship.
I think it was a cathartic experience for him, just getting it out. But oh well, it's time for more fishing. Day 19 started off with Emily visiting Danny, and he was good again. Any member of the valley showing him kindness was a good thing and usually resulted in the positive. And he also seemed eager to try and eventually see what he could make with the cloth. I, however, was building a worm bin to help with baiting our cages. Lovely. After this, I retrieved my steel axe and now was able to go into the woods to the south of our farm. On the way, the traveling merchant was actually there, and we managed to snag a rare seed to plant next season and goat milk to turn into goat cheese for the artisan bundle. Progress was becoming swift and sure. In the woods, I toured around, chopped up some of the trees. I met Father Cannoli, which I have no idea what the statue does, and fished for a wood skip. It was a rather uneventful time, to be honest, but at least Danny hit floor 100 in the mines.
God, my screen is purple. I don't, my maximum energy level has increased
What?
to 304. And now I'm fishing in a lava lake.
Bruh, fuck you.
Oh, increasing the stamina? That sounds incredible. I need to get to the mines at one point. Well, I sure hope I don't forget, because we were taking a break after this day for a couple weeks. I'm sure it'll be fine. Anyways, let's head to bed for the night. On day 20, we created goat cheese and harvested all the crops. It was on this day that I finally learned why Frackabell wasn't spending the nights with me. When going over the footage, you're winning the little Frackabell battle.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, like every day.
Like actually?
Yeah.
I wonder if it's because I started making it a habit to pet Frackabell every time I pet the cows, which is every single day.
Well, it all made sense, but I feel like an idiot. It was really that simple. At least I know now how to win a dog back. I spent some time heading to the community center while Danny went off with Gunther, our usual split. And with our large cash supply, I also made sure to get 2 new cows. Pony and Precoda joined the team. And I decided we needed a second cheese press in order to turn all of that milk into cheese. It was already a productive day, and then I actually remembered that there was a star drop awaiting me in the mines. So I went through, clearing all the different floors and opening all of the different chests, and finally got to floor 100, where I opened up the chest, got my star drop, and saw my energy jump to 307. All in all, it was a rather productive day.
Aupul olain hoksunanin mu odan tolo alaiton.
Unlike day 20, day 21 was not as productive. We started the day with Danny pointing out that we had 6699 gold, which was the extended funny number, and later Danny finding out that he could break a boulder in the mine, meeting the dwarf as you heard earlier. I ran and got a copper upgrade for my hoe and collected corals before fishing for the rest of the day. I will say, I did get one of the best fishing chests I had ever seen, and I don't know what the chances of this are, so feel free to let me know. However, the highlight was definitely when I arrived home. Frackabell was back, baby. Let me milk you.
That seems oddly. Something. A certain logo appears on the screen with a very particular drum beat.
All right, editor, do it in post. Why would I say that? I'm my own editor. I have to do it in post myself. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. Day 22 involved farm maintenance, mainly cutting back grass so we could build the fish pond. Danny also met the dwarf again and spoke with him in the song of his people.
Itlan on nes sin khatamdu sitodu. Idisin nomu en hatawan alai wanu peteldu il. Jonas ne tansun alai ton texonu tad no.
Beautiful. The rest of the day after purchasing the pond was uneventful, with Danny past floor 100 in the mines and me constantly fishing for new fish and an income boost. The most exciting event of the day came at the end, where I confirmed that I had figured out the way to win the Frackabell duel.
That means that Frackabell's in your room.
Let's go! It's your boy, T-Swizzle01, coming at you live with another Frackabell victory. There you are.
You have
I
about
panicked for a
30
second.
seconds.
Rain, how beautiful. Today was a typical day of harvesting in the morning, turning things in to the community center in the afternoon, and fishing in the evening. Surprisingly, we haven't completed any of the different sections of the community center yet, which for how much time we spend turning things in, you would think we might have by now. Danny also donated a ton of stuff to Gunther, unlocking a rare crow, before going to meet his buddies at the mines again. On his way, he discovered a lost book, which we found out turned into basic animal handling knowledge from Marie, but that was still pretty good. So we'll have to start attacking the different worms in the dirt now, looking for them.
All right, buddy. Take my gold. Oh, wait, no, hang on. I should probably talk to him first.
Yeah. What's he got to say?
Toe and an masan mon haton na is. Vamu a is Pioxus nexu ait unetu nexus yen hein uxut uzut 12 n. Yeah, but wow.
Totally agree. The afternoon itself was rather boring before Danny managed to hit the bottom of the mines. For anyone counting, day 23, season 2. That's moving at a pretty crazy rate, at least for me. I toured the bottom floor of 120 because I had never seen it before, and Danny said he found a skeleton key, which I assume was to the one arcade machine at the bar, but I was going to have to give that a look tomorrow. Before we left, Danny had me meet his new friend, and then we went home, where the dog was waiting for me. Day 24, a day that started like many others. Our hops finally produced, so when we had a keg, we could finally make beer, and we expanded some of our farm facilities, from extra sprinklers to a new rare crow place down, to finally fixing that one broken cobblestone path that I'm sure all of you have been seeing for the last 20-some days and screaming at your monitors for. Don't worry, we've noticed it now. Oopsies. We added bullhead to our fish pond and they seemed happy enough, so I left to go fish some more. Danny was trying to solve the mystery of the skeleton key, seeing what it would unlock, and we checked the sewers and we asked Gunther what he thought, but he had no info for us, and I just decided to go to the bar and see if Junimo Cart worked. I will say, I'm pretty fucking terrible at it, but it was a great way to finish the night. When I got home, I set up a lot of the things that Gunther had given me as rewards, and we retired for the night. We got mail. George needed a pepper, which we promised we would get to him eventually. However, Danny had another mission, discovering the use of the skeleton key, which means the Junimo Cart must not have been the answer. We debated it while we took care of the morning chores, and Danny even went to the Adventurers Guild, but we had no clue what else the key could have been used for, so we've kind of given up for now. We ended up completing 2 bundles today, actually. The hops really paid off, and we spent money to complete one of the vault bundles to get the bus repaired. Almost the entire day was spent working on the farm and searching around for possible use of the skeleton key, so at the end of the night, we fed the cows and headed to bed. Day 26 was another rainy one, but we had unlocked the lightning rod, and we needed a battery pack for one of the bundles, so my morning started with a frantic rush to create it. While doing that, Danny had an interesting experience at our fish pond.
Bring 5 slime. The population says if it's not too much, could you bring us 5 slimes? Yeah, I got you, fam. I got you. I'm talking to the fishes now.
I'll be honest, I didn't know fish could talk, but hey, we're in a fantasy world, suspend my disbelief. We now had an apple tree for the fall as well, and Danny found another lost book on his way to the mines. Everything was progressing well. While I was waiting for the iron, I tried making an oil press in order to turn mushrooms into truffle oil, but apparently that wasn't how it works, so I'll need to figure out how to get truffle oil in the future. Added to the list of things we need to figure out. Running to the traveling merchant, we found a sandfish, and we were able to complete yet another bundle, making great progress on the community center as well. That means I get to spend the rest of the day doing my favorite thing, fishing. Day 27. Raining again? Could we be so lucky? Yes, we could. With the season coming to a close, the only tasks we were really doing were setting up for long-term projects and farm upgrades. We harvested most of the day, and I complained about our bullhead row not selling for much at all. But at least the new kegs would be different. I just remember melon wine always selling for a lot, so the kegs were set up and melon wine was being made. I decided to head to Robin's while Danny went mining for stone because he and I wanted a stove to cook on, which required us upgrading the house, as well as a silo to hold hay for feeding the animals. It turns out I was woefully unprepared for how much wood I needed, so not only did I end up chopping down all the trees outside of Robin's house, but I also cut down most of the trees on the southern part of the farm. I'm sure they'll grow back soon, but at least now we had the wood. At the end of the night, Frackabell joined me again, hanging out with the big bear, and we were on to the end of the season. There's always a lingering sadness to the end of a month. The end of a season always brings about change on the farm, from routines to crop types, to even activities you can complete. However, and this may be because of my lack of finishing fall and winter before, but summer has always been my favorite end. The Dance of the Moonlight Jellyfish is just a nice way to wrap up the season, and I think it leads into fall on a high note. During the day, we did our usual bundle completion and managed to sneak in the battery pack and ice cream to the community center. I also managed to talk to Robin, and her house was being updated. For the rest of the day, we were pretty lazy, and when evening came, we went down to the beach. No rejection for Danny this time, but just a nice scene with some jellyfish floating to the shore. It was a peaceful end to a very productive season. We went home entertained, hung up our jellyfish banners, and finished off the month. Summer was an interesting time. There was a lot less of learning the game at the beginning, and what felt like more unlocking things required for later game events. Finishing the mines, taking in an excess of cash, filling our barns with cows, and starting to talk to the villagers more frequently all lead to, I'm sure, later game events that we can do. In that regard, it felt very transitory, and I was worried that Danny might have been not having as much fun as well. So I asked him the same question I did after spring, and here's what he had to say. What do you think? 2 months in now.
I'm feeling, feeling pretty good. I have a new best friend in the mines who hates everything I give him, much like everybody else in this godforsaken town. But I can't speak his language, so maybe he's giving me compliments. At least it's ambiguous there. I have no idea how to get iridium. I have a skeleton key that doesn't work on some locks, which is kind of interesting. And yeah, but we planted an apple tree. That'd be pretty cool.
Overall, positive or negative?
Oh, having a great time.
Yeah. Do you hate the villagers still?
Oh, like 95% of them at least, yes.
Okay. Well, no growth.
Literally,
there.
if they would do a single nice thing for us, then I would change my mind.
No. Okay. All in all, I consider that a success. It was honestly better than last month. We plan on starting fall shortly after this video goes public, and hopefully I can do a better job of editing things on time. If you made it this far, let me know if you liked it, hated it. If you have any tips, go ahead and let me know below. We're trying to avoid the wiki, but any tricks or thoughts are always greatly appreciated, like the newspaper from last video. So thank you all for taking the time to watch this, as there really is nothing more valuable you can give me than your time. The penguins wanted to pop up here at the end and wave hello, just to let you know that they're still around and doing well. They've been great helps with editing the video, and we all want to say thank you for spending your time to sit here and watch us. Thank you, and have a wonderful rest of your day.